building common ground with people that want to support healing. It just so happens to be with psychedelic psychotherapy, that's really going to be the key to the best government relations, is making this a bipartisan support. And so I feel that's sort of guiding light for how we go forward.
Fantastic. Well, I let somebody who started politics, not on the left of politics, really speaks to me, frankly. A lot of my old friends don't necessarily agree about drug policy reform, but I think you can get them there, and it's really important. And look, even just the stuff that we've seen out of Texas, really, I think, speaks to what you're describing.
Well, let me say even more than about Texas. You reminded me that Daniel Crenshaw, Representative Crenshaw, is a very Republican member of Congress. He's a former Navy SEAL, but he has heard from all these Navy SEALs, that hundreds of them that are going down to Mexico for ibogaine and 5-MeO, or going down to South America for ayahuasca, or doing MDMA therapy with us. And he's now interested in supporting psychedelic research. And we've got a project that we're working with Tim Ryan, who's a representative from Ohio, running for Senate in Ohio. He was phenomenally eloquent on the floor of the House, blasting the Republicans for not supporting this commission to look at the insurrection on January 6th. But we have Crenshaw and Ryan working together on two different bills. One would give money to the DoD for psychedelic research for PTSD, and the other would give it to the VA. And by psychedelics, we're talking about MDMA, psilocybin, ibogaine, and 5-MeO DMT. Right. So again, it's an example of bipartisan support, pulling it together, and that's what we need for government relations.
Okay, so look, I do want to get to there's a whole bunch of people asking questions in the chat here, and I do want to get to that. But before I do, one more thing from me. Of course, with the FDA, you've completed and published the first tranche of data for your phase 3. And for FDA, you're going back, you have to do more research. Do you think that's necessarily the case, considering the impressive data that you've published so far, and the very reasonable conclusion that the therapy is effective? Do you think that is true for all regulators, or do you think MAPS is in a position now to maybe approach some other sort of top tier regulators in the world to talk about approval even before you are done with your second tranche of data and before you go to FDA?
Okay, fantastic question. So yes, so one of the advantages of Brexit is that the MHRA, which is the FDA equivalent in England, they want to demonstrate that they are now unshackled from Europe and that they're able to go forward without all this bureaucracy. So there's a very good chance that once we start our studies in England and demonstrate some good results, I don't think that they'll just take our results from the US, but we are working at King's College in Cardiff. We're getting close to starting those studies, which are open label to train the therapist to do phase 3. But I think the MHR in England would be a good place for other people as well to think about getting approval before FDA. They're very vested in trying to demonstrate the advantages of Brexit. The other thing is Canada, actually. So Health Canada, when we first started psychedelic and research in Canada, they were absurdly difficult. I mean, there hadn't been research for 30 years. Just to give you one example, it took us forever to get permission for the pharmacy to hold the MDMA. This was in Vancouver. Yeah. So we had all the list of requirements that we had to do to meet the standards to hold a few grams of MDMA.
The vault, the biometric security, the cameras.
All of that. And then we do everything. And then they send out their people from Ottawa, which of course then they take months to send out and schedule. They can send somebody from the police station around the corner, but they don't do that. They wait months. And then this guy comes to check out our facility and he says, gosh, well, you've done everything on this list, but since then we've added some things to the list. And now you have to replace all the windows with bulletproof glass.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay, this is a pharmacy. They have opiates, they have stimulants, they have other stuff that's less secure than these few grams of MDMA. And they don't have bulletproof glass. So in any case, in the end, we had to do it. We did everything, we got approval. So now though, Health Canada is moving forward with tremendous stuff with people with life-threatening illnesses. They can now access psilocybin. Therapists can grow mushrooms and have their own psilocybin experience as part of their training. So Health Canada is a place that we're looking for that may go first as well. Australia, the TGA in Australia, the Therapeutic Goods Authority, they may also go, maybe they'll call it provisional approval, but they may go forward on the basis of one phase 3 study and some studies in Australia, which we're now working to start. The Australian government has just put out 15 million of their own money for MDMA and psilocybin research and grants. So various people are trying to get that. I think that that's very possible. Lots of countries like Brazil, for example, they will take, once FDA is approved, then they'll approve it, but maybe compassionate use, we can get approved there. So all this is to say that it's kind of been the thought for a long time that FDA goes first and everybody follows, but I no longer think that that's true, or it may not be true. And so that's why we're going to, so we will test that proposition in Australia, England, and Canada. Yeah, we will do what we need to do for FDA, and we will explore other countries as well.